Good day, everyone. So, I am here to give you some examples of historical research. But first, we have to identify the learning objectives. 1. Identify examples of historical research. 2. Determine sample titles of historical research. 3. Understand advantages of historical research. 4. Get some tips in writing historical research. So first, what is historical research? So historical research relies on a wide variety of sources, primary and secondary, and oral tradition. And it is a qualitative technique. Historical research studies the meaning of past events in an attempt to interpret the facts and explain the cause of events and their effect in the present events. In doing so, researchers rely heavily on primary historical data and less frequently on secondary historical data such as textbooks, magazines, newspapers, and etc. So first, we have to identify what are primary sources. So primary sources relies on the eyewitness accounts of events. So second, the oral or written testimony. So third, found in public records or legal documents, minutes of meetings, newspapers, diaries, letters, artifacts such as posters, billboards, photographs, drawings, and papers, and so on. And fourth, located in university archives or special collections or local historical society collections or privately owned collections. So that is the primary sources. And secondary sources are scholarly interpretations and critiques of the historical period of interest that you are studying. In the study of modern history, the difference between primary sources and secondary sources are usually clear. In ancient and medieval history, this distinction is not so clear, and second-hand accounts of events, oral or written, found in textbooks, encyclopedias, journal articles, newspapers, biographies, media such as film or tape recordings. So third, historical research is used to compare records of historical events and the activities surrounding them. And this type of research also helps to organize historical events sequentially and to preserve historical data so it doesn't get lost. So that's the difference between the primary sources and the secondary sources. So moving on, here are the history research topics tips. So this will be the brainstorm existing research topics. Second, do prior research of chosen subject. Of course, that's very important. And third, work out several thesis statements in advance. Fourth, find reliable sources. And lastly, start with outline. So here, I have here more or less 10 research Philippine history research paper examples. So here are their titles that we could use. First, how Ferdinand Magellan found the Philippines. So 2, the origins of the name Philippines. And third, the consequences of Magellan's murder. Fourth, how the Battle of Mactan changed the social and political development of the Philippines. And fifth, the Philippines under the rule of Philip II of Spain. Was the Spanish Empire cruel or fair when ruling the Philippines? 6. The fundamentals of the barrio government system. 7. The reorganization of town governments under the Maura Law of 1893. And 8. How the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade financed the economy of the Philippines during the early years of the colony, and so on. So that's the end of the historical research examples. So in continuation, I have to discuss to you the qualitative research examples. But first, we have to identify the learning objectives. First, define qualitative research. Second, identify qualitative research questions examples. Third, determine advantages and disadvantages of qualitative research. What is qualitative research? Qualitative research involves collecting and analyzing non-numerical data such as text, video, audio, and to understand concepts, opinions, or experiences. It can be used to gather in-depth insights into a problem or generate new ideas for research. And it is commonly used in the humanities and social sciences in subjects such as anthropology, sociology, education, health sciences, history, and etc. And so here I am going to show to you what some research titles, qualitative research titles. So here first, how does social media shape body image in teenagers? So that is very common nowadays. And second, how do children and adults interpret healthy eating in the UK? So third, what factors influence employee retention in a large organization? How is anxiety experienced around the world? Fourth, how can teachers integrate social issues into science curriculum? So those research titles might be useful in indulging research studies. So moving on, here are the advantages of qualitative research. Because of its flexibility, natural settings, meaningful insights, and the generation of new ideas. However, there are also disadvantages of qualitative research. First is the unreliability. Second, subjectivity. And third, limited generalizability. And fourth, the labor intensive. So that is the advantages and disadvantages of the research. Thank you so much.